Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Meanahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey peeps, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Garden of Bees, and it's from the company Decking Awesome Games. Say that 3 times fast. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, the next step is going to be going to the official Kickstarter project page. There will be a link up in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links will take you to the page. You can find out more information about pledging than I could possibly tell you here, and hopefully that will enable you to make an informed decision and back the project if it interests you. Now, what is Garden of Bees? It's a competitive game where you and the other players actually take control of bee colonies. Each player has a queen, and you have a bunch of worker bees, drone bees, bees that are wasps, different types of bees in the hive that are going to either protect the queen, fight for the queen, or produce honey for you, or any and all of the above. And that's basically what you're trying to do. Get the honey, which I almost made a movie quote there. Get the honey in order to produce more of these different types of bees in your colony. Use them to attack the other player's queens, and the last queen standing is going to be in their hive is going to be the winner. Let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. So let me stress that what you see in this prototype version may not be what the final game looks like, but this is just to give you a brief look at how the game plays. Then we're going to come back and we'll discuss it more.
Garden of Bees is a competitive game for 2 to 6 players. The goal of the game is to be the last player whose queen is still alive. Every player gets a player board, a reference card, and 4 beeple markers. These markers get placed in the highlighted starting positions of the 4 bee tracks on your board. The queen bee track represents the amount of health your queen has left, and so it starts at 5. You do not want this to get to 0. The other tracks represent the numbers of bees, guard bees, and wasps that you have in your hive. You only start off with 1 bee. There are 2 decks of cards, flower cards and event cards. Just shuffle these for now, and also place the 5 attack dice, 1 standard die, and honey tokens in different denominations within reach of all players. Finally, randomly determine which player will go first and give them the first player marker. Every round has 5 stages. Starting with the first player, every player will resolve the stage in clockwise order before moving on to the next one. When all 5 stages are complete, the first player marker moves to the next player in clockwise order whose queen has not been eliminated. The first stage is honey production. Every player gains honey tokens equal to the current health of their queen plus 2. So, at the start of the game, for example, everyone gets 7 honey. The second stage is harvesting. The first player will flip the top card off the flower stack. These flower cards each have a different type of flower with different colors at the bottom corresponding to different dice rolls. Players can now bet, essentially, to try and get more honey. You can duck out of this phase altogether if you don't want to risk losing the honey that you already have. But if you do decide to bet, you'll place your honey tokens on the color or colors you're betting on in the center of your player board. Once everyone has had a chance to lock in their bets or back out, the first player will roll the standard die. If the number that comes up matches a color that you've bet on, you get extra honey tokens equal to whatever your bet was, multiplied by the number on the card of the color that matched. Any tokens you bet on colors that didn't come up, however, are lost and get sent back to the stock. No one wins, and everyone loses their bet tokens if gray ever comes up. The third stage is events. In turn order, every player can purchase 1 or more event cards at the cost of 10 honey for each one. You can play as many of these cards as you want on your event turn or hold them for a future event stage. All of them work in the same way. Play the card face up, roll a die, and see what benefit you gain. The fourth stage is attacking. Every player in order has the chance to attack an opponent. You can actually make multiple attacks, but each one must be against a different opponent. Also, you may only spend a combination of 5 bees and wasps on each fight, each one representing 1 attack die you'll get to roll. Regardless of the outcome of the fight, bees get used when they're used in battles. Wasps do not go away, but they must be paid 2 honey each time that you use them, and each wasp can only fight once per turn. Once you've decided how many units you're attacking with, you roll the dice. The dice will either come up as 1 hit, 2 hits, or a miss. Successful hits start off by eliminating any guard bees your opponent has. Once those are gone, if there are still hits remaining, they get knocked off of the queen herself. If your queen is killed, you're out of the game. The 5th and final stage is the re-bee stage. You can buy bees up to the max of 9 at the cost of 3 honey each. The only way to get wasps and guard bees is through the event cards. Keep going through rounds of play until only 1 queen remains. That's Garden of Bees.
It's funny because just like a week ago, I was talking about how ants were like the new one of the new hot trends in board gaming. I don't know how. There's like 6 or 7 games about ants that have popped up in the last couple of years. But no one's really touched on bees very much. And I think that's potentially even more interesting because bees are interesting insects. And you can tell that the designers and publishers of this game, the developers of this game as a whole, were really interested in getting bees right in the game. It's not an incredibly detailed game, and it's not a very uberly complicated game, and that is to the game's benefit because it's very easy and fast to learn and to teach and to get into and start playing, right? But still, it touches on some of the most important aspects of bee life, which is pollinating flowers, gaining honey, having different types of drones in the colony in order to protect the queen, so on and so forth. And they even go out of their way in the instruction book to talk about bee conservation and things like that, which I think is important. And so they have that theme going in, which is both unusual and strong at the same time. And then it's something just because it's strong because it's not touched on that much. And then you actually have gameplay that is interesting as well, because there's other games that I've seen in this sort of broad category of animal or insect-based games are more of like very heavy Euro game mechanisms. Maybe not heavy, but moderate to heavy. Whereas this one took some elements of that. So you have some hand management aspects, you have some resource management aspects, but also at the same time you have direct conflict, which throws sort of a spanner into the works. It kind of upsets your expectations of what to expect from the game, and it forces you to think in different ways. So yes, you can take your time and try and promote the resource management aspect of it, load up your hand with cards, get as much honey as possible, get your troops up and up as much as possible. But you're going to have to fight, or you're going to have to defend. And if you take too much time, people are going to be attacking you mercilessly, and there's only so much you can hope for there. Remember that you can only get the guard bees and the wasps from the event cards. But you may not have been that fortunate in that regard. So in that case, you're going to have to rely on conflict even more to take out your opponents before they can get to you. So, and by the way, this is how bee colonies would behave. They do not suffer another colony to live in their area. Something like that, I think. So it's very interesting, and it's definitely set apart from so many other things that you see, not just on Kickstarter, but in board gaming in particular. So if these are the type of things that you're inclined to like, if you like this type of game, if you like this type of theme, or you just like themes that are different and sort of buck the trend, I think that your next step should definitely be to go to the official Kickstarter project page, because you can find out even more information there, and hopefully you'll consider backing the project. There's a link up in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath the video. Those will take you to that page. That is Garden of Bees from Decking Awesome Games. Thank you so much for watching and supporting our sponsors. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.